gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the HyperConscious podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where we sat down and we did a small talks episode on how every strength comes with a weakness. Today, for episode number 358, we're going to do a scratching the surface episode on how your decisions affect your life.
What a powerful topic. So, how to frame this episode. Why are we doing this episode? We like to start with why. This episode is twofold. Not one, not three, but twofold.
Cool.
So the first reason we're doing this is because we all can think of the accumulated compound effect of our choices over time really dictating the life that we live right now. Something as simple as who you decided to be with, who you decided to partner with in a business, deciding to start a podcast, deciding to get in shape. All these decisions shape our destiny. I think that's clear. But the deeper part of this that we wanted to talk to you all about today is if you are not aware of the alternatives, you didn't really make a choice. You didn't really make a decision. You just kind of defaulted. And so one good example of that might be, if Kevin struggled to believe in the way his life is now, did he ever really choose that? Did he even have the option to choose it if you didn't believe in it? So I think the key here is if you're not aware of the alternatives, you're probably defaulting rather than choosing.
So I always love looking back on the decisions that I made. It's hard now because you're just like you basically just said, your decision today can only be weighed and predicated against what you want in the future, right? So obviously having that clear vision of the future is important, but I look back all the time on singular decisions that I made that changed my life. Like I have 1,000 of them.
One of the ones that I thought of was you and Taryn's 1 year was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's
actually, technically it's today. Technically.
Oh, it is. You guys just celebrated yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So in my head, it was like, oh my God, that's that one decision.
But that's not even the decision. That's the thing. That's one decision in a line. I was in a situationship with somebody that I knew it wasn't going anywhere. And my decision had to be, although things are really hard right now with business, with all these things, I have to go be right. I have to go be lonely because I know this isn't going to turn into anything. That's just one decision. Right. And I remember when one of the last jobs I worked at, my old job, they called me up and said, hey, actually I called them and I said, hey, just so you know, we're not allowed to work in this building first shift tomorrow. They're telling us we're not allowed to. They didn't even know. My company didn't even know that. So they said, oh, no worries. We'll just have you guys work second shift. And I said, I told you I can't work second shift tomorrow. We were going to meet with Catherine Nash that night.
Oh, yeah.
So I literally called out of work basically. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I'm not doing this. I can't go get a workout in with somebody, even though I already have it planned because you guys screwed up the schedule and that's my fault. So I chose to go work out with you and Catherine that night. Right. Who knows? She spoke at Your World Within Live with us. We interviewed her on stage. We saw her in Florida. We've worked out with her. We had masterminds with her. Who knows if any of that would have happened if I didn't do that? That's one decision.
I know. Remember when we made the decision to go and meet Mark Metry at an Anytime Fitness, even though we wanted to lift at Crunch?
Yeah.
And now Mark's going to be on our mastermind tonight.
And
we're recording this on Monday.
To go further, when we had Mark on the phone to interview him, and you and I looked at each other and said, dude, we got to do this in person. He lives 20 minutes away. We have to do this in person. We canceled on the episode.
Right.
And he ended up coming to the studio. What if we didn't do that? Now he is our friend, our good friend.
Right.
Talk to him every week, even though we're on COVID. We still mastermind with him.
Every week.
We're going to go to the gym when things get back. He's been on the show. We've been on his show. I was in his audiobook. He's on our mastermind. None of that happens without one decision.
Yeah, man. That's why this episode is so powerful. I'm glad we chose Scratching the Surface for this because I can think of so many decisions that I made that have made, again, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. But Steve Jobs says you have to trust the dots will connect because that'll give you the courage to really trust your intuition.
Yeah.
So what's one decision that you've made that changed it all?
All of them, man. Starting a podcast,
Right.
I didn't start one by accident. I decided. I remember the moment I decided.
Dude, it's not the conditions of our life, it's our decisions. I think I've always been, because my mom taught me that life is about choices from such a young age, I feel like I've always been deciding in advance.
Yeah.
And I remember at one time you didn't decide in advance to be great at baseball. You didn't
Yeah,
decide in
right.
advance to be, it's like dude, that's what really, I think almost more than anything else, that's how your life changed, is when you actually finally decided. Like, I decided.
In advance, yes, but also in the moment. You get to decide how you feel right now. You get to decide how you react to every situation. And like a single decision can change the outcome of your life. Like saying one of the biggest things that made a change in my life was saying yes to Andrew Copeland when he asked me to go to England. That was one of the biggest decisions I've ever made.
Right.
But it's not if I don't take the rest of the decisions, if I don't make the right decisions along the way. And obviously I've made wrong decisions. Everybody has, right? But like that was one. That was a big decision. Then like the next one that was kind of like that was probably leaving that situationship, then going to Brendan Burchard's event.
Right.
Like that was a big one. And I don't know, but those are all made up by small decisions along the way. I would never have the opportunity to go to Brendan Burchard's event if I didn't decide to start a podcast. It just wouldn't be in the cards. It wouldn't be in alignment.
Right.
You know?
It's crazy. And then you think about all the other decisions too, of like interviewing T-Mac, then living with him in Florida.
Yeah.
There's so many.
And then
they're so obvious now. Go ahead.
I know. And I was going to say, and then T-Mac referred me one of my first clients.
Yep. T-Mac was the one who we had a conversation with him.
The universe provides. I just got a message from somebody.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice. Strong work.
But that's the thing. It's almost like you have to you have to think like, what is the best case scenario? And you kind of can't, because there's no way your awareness in the situation could ever play out what could happen. Is it in alignment? That has to be the question. Is this in alignment with the greatest version, the greatest Kevin, Allen, whoever you are listening? Is this in alignment?
How do you know whether or not it is or isn't?
I think a couple things, and Dave Meltzer does a great job of saying this. And Anthony Trucks pulled us behind the curtain of like, how does Brendan Burchard think? How does Dean Graziosi think? How does Eric Thomas think? They only do what's their core values. They only do like what they do. They don't have to think about it. They just do it.
Right.
And I think for me, it's been saying yes when I'm afraid to, or showing up. Like when you show up, good things kind of happen. Even the bad things are better than they would be, unless it's something like terrible. But for the most part, like you can trace it back to like, and obviously this is a deep episode because it's all over, but you can kind of trace it all back to like 5 or 6 things. And then what are the 100 things that led to those 5 or 6?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly. In our moments of decision is when, dude, you've heard me say this on stage. I said this at Top Notch Live because we had a panel and I wanted to I was thinking to myself, like, what could I say that would actually make 2020? That was the idea of that event, making 2020 the best year of your life. And I was sitting there like, what could I say that would actually do it? Because whether it was fitness or business or money or resilience, all the different speakers were there to talk about, and there was so many great insights. But at the end of the day, like, what is the thing that's actually gonna make the difference? And I remember saying, when you're in emotional pain, you have a decision to make. You're either gonna escape into a vice or develop a virtue. Those moment to moment decisions. I made one earlier today, so I'm fasting right now. I'm trying to get in shape for summer, and without gyms, that's difficult. So I'm fasting. And right before we recorded, I like to be fasted because I feel like I'm sharper. I had food in the microwave and I was ready to eat it before we got on the phone, on the Zoom. And I took it out of the microwave, wrapped it up and put it in the fridge. And I said, you know what? I'm going to stay fasted today because I want to be sharp for the mastermind tonight. And I already made a decision, by the way, in advance. I was in the shower earlier and I'm so excited for Mark Metry tonight I know it's Friday, you listening to this, but on Monday night, he's coming at 6 p.m. to talk about social anxiety. And I made a decision in the shower that I'm going to take notes on that call. I'm going to lead by example and really be a student. I'm making decisions all the time in advance. That's the interesting
But
thing.
everybody is. That's the thing.
Are they doing it consciously though?
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't think
it's not always congruent. You're making it. If you decide not to go to the gym, what did I just say you did? You decided not to go to the gym.
Do people understand the implications of that?
No.
That's
I don't think they necessarily understand the repercussions. I think they understand that they are the ones making the decision.
I think a lot of our decisions are unconscious though, too. Because
I'm sure a lot of them are, but I mean, in terms of like, I don't know, how many times have you had I don't feel like working out today, I decided to do it anyway?
Oh, so many times.
I think.
Yeah, constantly.
So what is that? Is that understanding the importance of making a suck decision in the moment for the greater good?
I honestly think that comes down to, like you mentioned, you had a really good point. I think it comes down to a few decisions. You said it's 5 decisions that lead to 1,000,000, or I think you said 1,000, but it really is like, it's okay. If I decided right now, no matter what it takes to be a world-class podcaster, that one decision now is going to lead to 10,000 courageous moments where it's not really a decision. It's either you are in alignment or not. And that's why I'm talking about deciding in advance, is because if you don't do that, it's going to be hard to make those decisions all along the way. And when you say, like, how do you know? I think a deep understanding of the long-term compound effect of good decisions over time is the key factor. Like, one cigarette is not one cigarette. One drink of alcohol is not one drink of alcohol. It's a habit that might change your whole trajectory.
Yeah.
I can tell you for sure that I would not be with Emilia now if I didn't overcome alcohol. There's no way. Because that bad habit was creating something of me that I don't think she would have been attracted to. And it's interesting because I never would have if I wasn't smart enough to now look back and correlate those two. Like, okay, picture it's a Friday night and I get invited out to the bar to drink. My mind at the time is not, my future wife isn't going to want to be with me if I go to the bar tonight.
Right.
But in some weird way, that is kind of true. But I didn't, and I told you this before this episode, is I didn't even know Emilia existed. And I remember you helped me realize, like, the whole team, we were on a call, and I remember I said I wanted to be with someone more ambitious than me. I wanted to be the anchor for once in terms of the ambition arena. And that has happened. But I didn't know up to that point. I wasn't aware that that really existed. As a matter of fact, I was afraid that it didn't. And I think on top of that, I was afraid that if it did, what would that mean? What would that be like, right? And so until I opened my mind to the idea of that possibility, I don't think it was a possibility. And so I wasn't able to decide I want someone more ambitious until I believed it was possible. So when I say people aren't really deciding, I think they're, like you said about setting goals, they're setting goals based on what they think they can get. But what they think they can get is based on their current awareness.
Yeah.
And your awareness won't expand until you first chase something greater. It's just this weird thing.
Well, it's all, I'm telling you right now, the quality of your decisions, and maybe not all the time, but I would say the quality of your decisions more often than not are based on what you're holding them against. So, like, if I'm 21 years old, I'm in a frat, everybody's getting hammered and driving, right? Versus now, there is 0% chance I would ever get in a car under the influence of alcohol. I have way too much to lose. My decision is based on Kevin, the world-class version of himself, doesn't do that. That's not what I do. It's not who I am.
Right.
I'm always weighing it
against alignment with a vision.
Yeah. Kevin has to show up and do this speech. I said I was going to. I have to get on this coaching call. I said I would. I have to do this podcast.
So why didn't you used to live that way then? Because
my congruence was being happy. My staying in congruence for me was being happy, was staying safe, feeling certain, being comfortable. So
were you aware of that?
No, I don't think so.
Your congruence was being happy. I think it goes to a misunderstanding of what happy means, because you didn't know. Like, if you could talk to the old Kevin who was less fulfilled,
yeah,
how would you explain to him like you don't understand what you're missing?
I don't know that I
Because
could.
I feel like that skill is like so powerful.
I don't know that I could.
What would you tell him about decisions? Because I was asked recently, Ethan Bridge interviewed me on a podcast called CEO Journals, and he had some fire questions that I had never thought of. One of them was, I go back to when you were 16 and take me through what that was like. Right, I know. And it was like, what would you tell that person now if you could go back? And I said it would be really difficult to get through to me then, but I would say this. I would say life is about choices, and make sure you're making choices that are true to your heart, that are congruent with your core values, not just what's pleasurable in the moment. I know.
I don't think I knew my core values at 16.
I don't think I did either. I think I was exploring, trying to figure them out.
Yeah.
But like, I think the reason why hyperconsciousness is so important and why awareness is so important is because if you don't have awareness, you're not really choosing, you're defaulting. You're kind of like, did you choose to be good at baseball? You kind of just tried baseball and ended up good. Like, you didn't choose.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest challenge of human development and life and fulfillment is like, did we choose our best friends, or did they happen to be our neighbors growing up? Did we choose our parents, or was that the family we were born into? Did we choose our girlfriend, or is that who we ended up being attracted to in that moment? This is a powerful topic, man, because life comes down to this. You know, you and I easily could have made a different choice and our whole life would have been different.
For sure. I've seen people do it. I've seen people close to me make decisions that took them all the way away from where I am today. And again, nothing against them, but
can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Would you be willing to?
Yeah.
Anonymously, of course.
Yeah. I had a good friend who hurt himself. He tore something in his knee playing baseball, and he ended up getting addicted to pain pills and then going way down that path. Ended up in jail multiple times, like almost dying multiple times. And that was based on, I mean, obviously the addiction portion, right? Like getting addicted to pain pills is no joke, but the decision to start spending time with other people. You know how they say like, oh, they're hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a decision. That's a decision. Right. I saw that happen.
But was that person making that decision consciously?
If you're not hyper conscious, you're only going to make it to the level of your awareness.
Right.
So yeah, maybe not, but that's subjective.
And if you're not asking yourself the tough question of like, should I be, I think that's why the 5 buckets resonated so well, is because everybody started to question, like, why am I, well, when we have a close friend who, go ahead.
I was going to say, when it comes to relationships, man, that's like the hardest one.
I know.
Literally saying, like, making a decision about another human being and saying like, I don't think you're the best for my long-term success. I don't think you're the one I want to spend my life. I don't think you're the one that's right for my heart. I don't think you're going to be a good parent. Like, that's really hard to do. Really hard to do.
I know. It's the hardest, man.
But it's one of the most important decisions you can make.
Yeah.
You know?
Emilia and I, not long ago, I think it was Friday morning, we were talking about our pasts a little bit and digging deep into them. And we both came to the conclusion, it was kind of a long story, but we both came to the conclusion where the best decision we ever made was leaving our last relationship.
Yeah.
And we both like had this deep understanding within ourselves and where it was like, it's nothing against that other person. It's not. It's just that was honestly the best decision we ever made. Why? Because we're so unbelievably fulfilled now.
What would happen if you weren't, though?
Then I wouldn't probably feel that way.
Right. That's interesting too.
Right. And that's the thing.
Like, is almost weighed against the thing that comes after it.
Well, that's right. That's the exploration piece of.
God, this is deep.
I know, it's the deepest one we've had in a while, man, because this is the whole thing, right? So I often say this, and I said this to Ethan on the podcast I was on. I said, because he asked me too, he's like, well, I'm 20. What would you tell me? You know, what would you tell your 20-year-old self? And I said, this is a difficult question because in one sense, I often tell people, if you are truly happy, fulfilled, and joyous with where you are, you'll not only be okay with where you've been, you'll actually be grateful for it because you'll see how it led you. Like you and I, we made some mistakes, but it's like, wait, what if we took away any of those mistakes? Would we end up where we are? And we're, you know what I mean? But what I said is there's a flip side of that coin, which is I'm not naive enough to know that I don't have regrets and haven't made mistakes. Like if I could go back, I would say read books earlier. You know, I would say make your decisions consciously. That's the one piece of advice. Like emotional pain is a given. What you do about it is not.
Yeah.
Make your decisions consciously. Like, dude, when I decided to quit drinking, it took me years to do that. I think I'm 318 days sober now. I was in Westerly, Rhode Island the last time I drank. I know the exact time, and I know the next threat too. The next threat is Emilia's lake house. I can already tell it's lake life, you know, and I'm already in advance priming my mind like that's not who you are anymore. That's not who you want to do. But I'm also saying in advance, remember the downside. Like, remember what all the good things that happened since you've stopped drinking. Like, stack the wins. And here's another thing too. I haven't been able to work out in a while since COVID. I'm still in really good shape. And I remember looking recently, probably too much information here, but I sent Emilia like a sexy photo, whatever. Okay. It is what it is.
It happens.
And I remember looking in the mirror going, I remember I used to drink like fairly frequently. I bet you I wouldn't have such a good physique with, you know, cause I've had trouble working out without a gym. And I'm like, what if I like drank regularly still? I remember I used to. This will be the last thing I say, and then I'll let you talk for a minute here.
3.5 minutes here.
3.5 minutes. Kev, I recently created a folder in my Dropbox called Perspective. And I have the picture of me, you, and Schofield in there. I've got pictures. You know how Facebook memory comes up with 12 years ago, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, all that? I'm hammering photos in there now because I want to remind myself of the poor choices I've made. And I want to keep in the forefront of my mind how those choices, good and bad, led me to here. And I think it is naive to think that things wouldn't be better or worse had I made different choices. I do think life is about choice at the end of the day. That's the atom of personal development. That's the smallest piece. It's like your life will come down to your decisions, not the conditions.
I think you have to choose something in advance. That's what I would say.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're just going to take your choices are going to be day to day. What's the easiest way to get through today? What's the easiest way to get through this week? Once I make it to Thursday, it's easy. Like it's completely different. It's completely different.
It's a completely different game.
It is. It is a completely different life. Mondays are my favorite days. We're recording this on Monday. It's my favorite day. I love Mondays. I love them. Monday's my favorite day.
Used to be your worst favorite.
Used to be my worst. Yeah, it used to be terrible. I hated it. You know, and now it's just, but that's all based on one choice. And the thing is, like, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you made a choice today to listen to this. Number one,
great choice.
Congrats, and we appreciate you. But what other choices are you either making or not making that are beneficial? What choices are you making that are detrimental? Like staying in a bad relationship. That's a bad choice. That's a bad choice. Staying in a job that you hate. And again, you know, I'll preface it with like circumstantially, you know, maybe you're not ready to leave yet. But I always say there's two answers, the easy one and the right one. You have to make the choice though to do the right one and not the easy one. Mm-hmm. And I don't think if you have a goal, you have a reason, or if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a reason, if you don't have that vision, it's a lot harder to say like, you know what, I'm gonna suffer now. Like, why wouldn't I watch Netflix? It's Friday.
I know.
And again, I watch Netflix. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
No, it's very powerful.
80-20. Like I'm working 80% of the time. I'm R&Ring 20% of the time.
So why
50 seconds here.
50 seconds. I think we should do 10-second blips. Yeah, let's try to, because dude, you wrote something recently on one of your memes. I don't think this is when you had the cartoon character yet, but you said something along the lines of, if you're accepting something that you don't like, you're choosing it, or something like that.
That's fire. I don't think it was me though.
Oh,
I'll take credit for it though.
So if you had one thing to tell the listeners about decision making, what would it be?
Yeah, I don't think I did that.
You said something about decisions. If you haven't made a decision about it, something about you get what you tolerate, something like that. I
don't
know I'm
know.
jeffing, but
I think my thing would be, you're at the end of your life, the life that you lived is the life that you decided to live. Like, think about that. At the end of your life, that is the life that you chose. Because even if you got knocked down, you made the decision to stay there. You made the decision maybe not to chase your dreams, maybe not to chase that person, maybe not to stand up for yourself, maybe not to start that business. Like, yeah, there's circumstances for sure, but like, you can still choose to figure out a way.
And what you find when we've interviewed almost 100 people on this show, probably about 100 actually, now that I think about it, if not more, because at the beginning we were doing just guest reps.
Yeah.
So we're over 100 at this point. After interviewing 100 people, I will tell you, it's not the conditions, it's the choices. And it's interesting because you have to take, some people have had the worst stuff ever happen to them. Eric LeGrand, Isabella Picard, Anthony Trucks, Cheryl Hunter. Like, they had some heinous, horrible things happen to them. But it's what they did about it.
Yeah.
That made the difference. Like you were just mentioning just the other day on a mastermind, like Isabella Picard is doing handstands when she was told she wouldn't walk. She made a choice. I'm not going to let this beat me.
Right.
And you and I, when we were in a dark place, me after the car accident, you in the crusty hotel room in New Jersey, you made a choice to do something about it. And I think, dude, that is what life comes down to. It's our choices. And I guess my 10-second blip would be, make sure you're making them. Emotional pain is guaranteed. What you do about it is not. Life is about choices. Make sure you're making them hyperconsciously.
Fire. Speaking of hyperconsciously, if you're listening to this on Friday, Tiffany promised our website would be done, so I'm going to put her on the spot here. Head on over to the hyperconsciouspodcast.com. I don't know how to get you into Hyperconscious Nation right now because I don't know what buttons are going to be on the website, but Hyperconscious Nation is rolling. We are getting fire engagement. I appreciate all you guys who are engaging. We're also going to be doing a giveaway because we hit the 200 member mark.
Yeah.
And we are now posting in Hyperconscious Nation every day to make sure that we're adding value to you guys. So if you want to get into a group of like-minded individuals, get motivated, inspired, and connected every day, that's what we are all about in the group.
Think about one choice that you've all made that has made the biggest difference in your life, whether that was to join a Facebook group, whether that was to listen to a podcast, whether or not that was to reach out to that person, that mentor. One of the things that I want to talk to you about today is the weekly mastermind. Imagine we are witnessing this week to week. This is not woo-woo. This is not fluff. This is what we're tangibly seeing happen. I have seen such drastic growth in Kevin, in myself, in every member of that group, even in our girlfriends. I've seen real growth from Amy and Tiffany. It's unreal what can happen when you get a group of like-minded people together in an effort to get better. Imagine every single week. Imagine the version of your life where every single week you go into a room with a group of like-minded leaders to learn and grow.
Yeah.
That version of your life is 10 times better. And I'll just say it than if you don't. And so if it's not ours, choose someone else's. But we're every Monday at 6 p.m. without fail. We will be there ready to learn, ready to teach, ready to inspire.
And the reason Hyperconscious, the mastermind, the website, the speeches, the coaching, all of it, the reason it's so personal to us is because it's not only what we did, it's what we do.
Like, we are.
It's who we are. We're not trying to talk about stuff that we don't do. That's why we only talk about the stuff that we're going through, or you guys are going through, that we've gone through. And I think that's why we're so passionate about it, because at the end of the day, like, that mastermind helps us just as much, if not more, than it helps anybody else, because we get to practice our craft. But the only reason we're capable of doing that is because we were doing that before, just behind the scenes. So I appreciate everybody that listens and watches and coaches and all that stuff. It's amazing that this is our job, and I'm gassed up. The next month, guys, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a game changer. We got some things coming.
Yeah.
We got some things coming down the pipe.
And it all started with a single choice.
Yes. All right, we got to go.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this, and we will talk to you on Sunday.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.